Hey, it's Biddy Penny. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to take the Catherine Pooler inks for a test drive, so buckle up. This is not paid in any way. I was not asked to do this video. I'm not affiliated. I bought these inks because they are so hyped up and I wanted to test them out. And I saw this collection which I thought would fill some voids in my color choices for my ink collection. So I thought these would kind of fill in some gaps I had. And I wanted to give them a shot. And I'm really glad I chose the minis and a group of them because I felt like even by the time I was done testing them out, that was the best way to get a good comparison. So each one of these little things comes wrapped in a thick plastic, which is wonderful. So they're guaranteed, to be juicy when you get them. All right, I was opening these up and I noticed they had this, the packaging had some notes, and I thought, well, these are completely brand new to me, so maybe I should read them. So, they say to give it a loving touch, basically, a love tap. So it's a soft foam. You don't want to smash your stamp into it. You're also going to need to refill it with ink much more often. It says they're water reactive, that they can be embossed with, and that they're great for blending. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to put this little thing over to the side, and we're going to test all of those marketing ideas here in my craft room. So I'm going to grab just a standard cardstock sheet that I would use, that I've used for 4 years. So I feel like that is going to give me the best platform because I've used lots of inks on this cardstock over the last 4 years. All right, let's look at the pad. So it is raised. I like that. I think that's a nice touch. And I'm just kind of measuring it up. It's about 1 inch by 2 inch, the actual pad itself, which for a mini container, I like that. I have really come away from using ink cubes very often. I don't know. I guess I just feel like they're so small and fussy. But I know not everyone feels that way. They're perfect for traveling though. So I keep all my mini cubes because I love traveling with them. All right, I like the lid, stays nice and snug. I kept waiting for it to like snap or something, but it doesn't. It just kind of fits on there tightly. It might loosen up over time, I don't know. But for now, it has a nice tight fit, which you need for a foam pad because they will dry out so quickly in comparison to felt. All right, so I'm just bringing in a couple other brands, and this is the only time I'm really going to be comparing them besides one other. And I just wanted to compare sizes in case you had some of those things in your stash, so you would get an idea of how big it is. All right, let's get to stamping. I felt like, stamping is what we do, right? So let's see how these do. I grabbed a couple of really detailed stamps. And of course, I think red rubber stamps like nothing else. And so I wanted to first stamp these up with seasoned red rubber stamps. And look at that. I was impressed, really impressed by that impression that I got. And now I thought, okay, this is the ultimate test. This is the first stamp I ever bought for card making. And I will always have it in my stash. It is still one of my favorites. But it's tricky. You have to have the right ink for a stamp like this. I'm showing you here, I got it nice and juicy. It's hard to tell because so much of the stamp is pixelated, if you will. So this was not a great beginner's stamp, but I've learned a lot using it over the years, and I still just love those two gals so much. So I wanted to test this ink out, and oh my goodness, best impression I've ever gotten in 5 years. So good. This is the way this stamp was meant to be, and I feel like this is the first time I'm seeing it that way. So Look at that. You know, it's supposed to be vintage. It's supposed to have wear and tear, but look at this one. Amazing. Amazing. I love it. Stamping abilities right off the bat. So, okay, we don't need to worry about the re-inker one right now. Let's try the water reactive. So I decide to grab a clean blending brush and I pick a color. I'm going to just try to use all the colors because, yeah, we've got a rainbow. Let's use it. So I have this clean brush, which is very unusual in my craft room. And I am just tapping a little very gently, and I'm going to ink this up. Now, I will say foam pads, I don't know, I've not always had the best of luck with the Stampin' Up! Foam pads. So when I made investments in my inks, I actually stayed away from foam pads and focused on felt pads. So I have I have all the Distress Oxide inks, which is a felt pad. I have My Favorite Things, Lawn Fawn, and those are the three main ones that I have. Because I've had issues with the foam pads in the past. So if you're taking your blending brush to them, I would suggest you be extremely gentle. All right, back to what we're testing here, which is the water reactive quality. And I'm just going to bring it up. Wow, so good. Oh, and I love the way it distressed the image that I stamped. That's why I put that fine detail image there, because I wanted to see how it would distress it, and I love that. Love, love, love. Really, really great results, I think, for water reactive. Okay, I'm so pumped up. I'm so excited. Let's try heat embossing, because this is cool. I like the idea of this. I like the idea of being able to buy a colored ink, but clear emboss over it, and then you don't have to have different colors of embossing powders. So here I'm just checking, what is the name of this again? Like, I'm so new to these. Oh yeah, okay, I guess it is called polished. All right, sure. So I'm going to stamp this one up. Again, I'm just using a red rubber woodblock stamp that I have on my desk. And I'm kind of showing you all of this in real time because I want you to have an idea. So I got it nice and juicy. You're going to tell I get a great impression. Again, I'm using cardstock that I've used for 4 years. And so I'm very familiar with it. I heat emboss on it all the time. I was going to use clear, and then I thought, no, let's use a dark color so we can really see how it does. So I spread on. This is a fine embossing powder too. It's very fine. And that's no bueno. Yeah. Okay, so then I think, all right, Slowpoke, maybe what you need to do is not take so long between stamping and embossing. So let's try this again. Let's move a little faster and see what we can do. So go ahead and just stamp off a second impression, and I see, like, yeah, I got a good impression the first time. But let's try this again. So I ink it up. I'm not even using the embossing powder this time. I thought, well, maybe everything was just too thirsty for this ink, right? So maybe my stamp, maybe my paper, maybe the embossing powder or embossing buddy, maybe it was all too thirsty. So I stamp it down really good. I go straight to the embossing powder. I mean, I do have to open it up, but that's a normal thing, right? So I open it up. Nope. That's not going to work. That is not going to give you what you want. So then I think, all right, look, I want to make this as fair as possible. So I go ahead and I heat it up as quickly as possible again, so that as much of it can stick to the paper but it's all just flying away. Now, I know you can heat emboss from the back of the page, and a lot of people recommend that, but I've always heat embossed from the front for the most part. So I don't feel like I should change up what I normally do to test a product and see how it works, right? Because I'm in my head comparing it to products I've used in the past, like VersaFine. Now, this is a pigment ink, to be completely fair. So, of course, it's going to give me different results, but I just want to show you guys with the same stamp, same paper, the same embossing powder, the difference of the results. Because, I know you might be questioning those types of things. And, this is just me playing in my craft room. I'm not a scientist. I mean, I do know that these two inks are different. They have different properties, but the results are unmistakable. I'll let them just speak for themselves. Personally, if I were to do the marketing and the packaging for this product, I would not highlight that it works as an embossing ink based on the results I found today. I would replace that little bullet point with like easy cleanup, because it did clean off my stamps very well. But this is not something that I would encourage. And if you emboss a lot and you were looking for an ink, I might shop around just a little bit more. But for me, it's not a deal breaker because I don't emboss that much, to be completely honest. I'm just showing you here the differences. So, it's hard to find a one and only. When it comes to inks, you guys, it's just really hard. You really actually need variety. You need a couple of brands because they perform differently. All formulations are different. They do different things. They're really great at some things, not so great at others. So one thing, if you watch a lot of card making videos, you probably see people swinking with these ink pads. Now I'm going to show you. It uses a lot of ink. See that line where the pad touched the paper? Yeah, you're going to want, if you use this technique a lot, you're going to want to make sure you have the re-inkers so that you can re-ink your pads, because they are going to dry out a lot faster. That uses a ton of ink. But it's cool. I know. I love swinking. All right, so I'm just using residual ink, getting a second impression here from the VersaFine. And I wanted to see how water reactive this was with swinking. So I spritzed a little water, and I will dab it up with my microfiber cloth, and then I'll bring it up so you guys can see it close up. So amazing, so good. Love it, love it, love it. I think that is really nice results. If you like water reactive mediums, I would definitely recommend these. Okay, now let's go back and do some swatching. So I got these inks specifically based on the colors that were displayed on these little labels. Now I know, because of the profession that I'm in, that you can't get a true color. Like, first of all, everyone has a different computer monitor or screen all over the world. We all have different equipment for the most part, and not everyone's screens are color balanced, and so you just can't get it perfect, right? But I was thinking, based on what I was seeing on different sites, that I had a pretty good idea based on the labels of what these colors were going to look like. And this seafoam is not doing it for me. I'm just so real, you guys. I hope y'all are okay with it. I wanted that soft color, and I don't feel like this is giving me what I want. So then I'm like, okay, let's color swatch some more. Now I had already done this color when I did my heat embossing. And so for this one, I'm just going to trim it off so I can hold it up and show you guys. I think that one's a really true representation. So I'm good on that one. Now, another thing that I took into consideration with my swatches is a lot of inks need time to like cure and dry. Obviously, they're wet, especially these. They're brand new. They're super wet, super saturated. So they need time to chill out, dry out, and then you'll have a better idea of what you're working with. But I gave these time. So I inked them all up. I walked away. I gave it time. I came back and I was still kind of a little bit in shock by how off they were from the labels. Now, I work with Copic, Spectrum Noir, and that is a common thing. Like, the lid shows you one color, but it's not until you swatch it out that you see what it's really going to be like. So again, I'm just stamping now. After these had dried, I thought, okay, let me go back and stamp and just see what I'm getting. So I'm kind of laying these out. The blue was kind of like the sea foam. It was like nowhere close for me, but the other ones were, the blue, the yellow, and the sea foam were just nowhere close in my opinion. But the other ones are pretty much spot on. All right, so then I think, okay, well, let me go back to ink blending, because it may be that because I swinked these and because I stamped these, they're really saturated, but maybe their color key is more based on a blended version of the ink. Ignore that top corner that I did. Let's just pay attention to this one. I was working with a dirty brush, which I will admit, but here's the thing. That's me. That's how I work. And so, I have to use products the way I work and the way I use my tools, because that's how it's going to be most realistic for me. All right, so let's just sum this up. First impression is I'm stoked, and this is why. I now have colored inks that will give me detailed impressions. Oh, look at that. Like amazing. So amazing. I love it, love it, love it. So I'm super stoked about these, even if I just use them for this one feature, right? Like I can pull out my most detailed stamps and get a great impression, which, more about this later, but I'm definitely moving towards doing more detailed stamps in my collection, and I'm moving away from a lot of the ones you have to color in laboriously. But anyways, so I need a good ink for that. The water reactive quality, yes, yes, yes. I cannot wait to make some backgrounds with that. Ink blending, splattering. Oh, it's going to be amazing. Embossing, no. I just cannot recommend it for embossing at all. I would never use it again for that based on that experience that I had. I just wouldn't. But that's okay. Ink doesn't have to be everything. That's why we have different inks. Color matching, I get that the packaging is going to be different, but these are a little bit far off. I wish as a consumer there was a more accurate way for me to gauge before I made any future purchases of how these would stamp out. And that's just constructive feedback. I feel like some of them were spot on, and then others like this, just it's a different, it's just so much darker. It's just a different color than what I was expecting. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this. This is not something I do very often, but I also don't buy inks very often, to be honest. So, I just felt like these get so much hype and so much attention, and I wanted to give them a test run. So that's what I did. I'm definitely pleased with my purchase. I'm actually really excited. about using these in my crafting, so you will see me pull these out from time to time. Which re-inkers I'll buy, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't like just buy all the re-inkers. I really think you have to try things. You have to look at things like this and get them in your craft room before you make a $50 investment in re-inkers. And make sure the product's going to work for you. Make sure it's going to do what you do. If you're like me and you use dirty brushes, then you need a product that can go with that. Or, if you don't do a lot of heat embossing like I don't, the fact that it doesn't emboss is not a deal breaker. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'd love to hear your feedback down below. And I'm so excited to get to craft with these. They are a blessing. I think, our craft supplies are a blessing to us, and then we get to bless others with the things that we make. So thanks so much for watching today. I really appreciate all of you so much. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.